Oh, Richard.
There you go. Okay.
Not bad. I've got another question I wanted to ask you.
Yeah. By the way.
Um, do you want to ask you now?
Yeah, you can do. And then
I was just
I,
curious that, when you're on about the crossover going back,
yeah,
uh, obviously when it's gone through the crossover and then it does the trade, I'm just sometimes it's going back to it's always going to go, it could also go back to the moving average, couldn't it? And sometimes that when it goes back there, it's the stop loss isn't big enough. I'm just wondering if that's the case sometimes.
yeah, that is quite often the case, and that will definitely take you out. Um,
It's just a comparison to whether you decide to use the crossover or not. I don't know whether it's just a matter of just manually watching it. I don't know.
if you're able to watch it and enter manually, then that's that will be an advantage. But we're trying to get a trading assistant that you can you can let it run on its own if you're able to go if you have to go out to work and leave the
Yeah, I mean, it
company.
took the Euro AUD this morning. It lost it, but I measured the distance running it back, and I think it were about 11 pips, which you probably wouldn't say.
Yeah, no, I mean you've just got to accept that you're going to lose some. Um,
Mm.
what I can say is I've been um, quite strictly using the MA crossover on my trades this week, and as I thought, it hasn't taken very many trades. It's only taken two, three, uh, taken five trades, and it's only lost one. So am I correct there? So two, three, four. Yes, taken five trades. It's lost one. So I've won four and lost one. But so the ones that I won, I got two and a half, two and a half, two and a half. So I'm actually up 3% as we speak. So
Which is good on the hard to trade. That's good for a week. Good for the week.
yeah, I'm quite happy with not taking as many trades if my win rate is bigger. So I'm going to look at a couple of them this afternoon. So hi Tony, welcome. I'm going to share my screen. And you should in a second be able to see my charts. And if I move myself out the way there, hi Helen, Gary, Tony. Okay, so they come back. Right, so I've been asking for questions. I've got one or two in already. So the first one, there's several people remarked on my post yesterday that I'd taken a trade in the early morning session and it won, and people were asking why I was on Euro USD in the morning. So maybe I need to do what I used to do and go, go through the pairs that I trade. So this is the morning session screen, and as you can see, I've got the Euro odd and GBP odd, but I've got the Euro NZD and GBP NZD, but for quite a few, well, I would say at least a couple of years, maybe 3 years, I've been including Euro US in the morning session, and it's not strictly a crossfire trade in that the crossfire is about, well, the morning session of crossfire is all about um, the closing of the Asian session and the opening of the London session, and the price movement that goes on to get price where they want it to be. So that doesn't, so the four well, the two New Zealand pairs and the two Aussie pairs are what Crossfire was all about. But I discovered that I could get quite often a trade on Euro US. So I've included that in my early morning session, and I quite often get a trade on Euro US. One of the things that I like about that pair is the spread is really low. So even first thing in the morning, 6 a.m. UK time, the spreads are down to 2 or 3, sometimes 4 pips, but they rarely go up to 10, sorry, 3 or 4 points, but they rarely go up to 1 pip. So if you get a decent trade on Euro US, you're getting virtually all of your money because the broker spread is almost non-existent.
Setting your stop loss at that, Richard.
So, well, this week, as I said on the Tuesday session, I've got my stop loss set on 5 pips on every pair. So that includes the morning session. So I go for 5 pip stop loss on these 5 pairs, and I go for 5 pip stop loss on the afternoon session. And I'm really just testing that out. I think I can probably reduce the Euro US down to 4 quite safely, and I may decide to increase these New Zealand dollar pairs to 6. But I mean, at the minute, I'm just testing 5 pip stop loss across the board, and it seems to be working for me. And I'll do some back testing at the end of the week and just see if I could have tightened up on that. But the other point I want to make about the Euro US is sometimes if the US dollar and the euro, well, first of all, you've got to remember that is the highest traded pair in Forex. It's the busiest pair. That's why the spreads are so low, because the brokers are making money on very low spreads. But also because it's Euro US, you can often get more than one opportunity to trade in the 3-hour session that I trade. So it's worth keeping an eye on for another opportunity. Today's not a good example because I don't know if you've noticed, but it's a bank holiday in the US today, and that's probably why we haven't got any US people on the call. I believe it's Thanksgiving, so it's quite a big day. But and that means that you've got the whole of the US market is not active today. Therefore, you can expect not a lot of action. And as you can see, the Euro US has been fairly flat, just going up, going down, going up, going down, not really moving very far at all. And so that was the first point. I would recommend that if you're using Crossfire at 6 o'clock in the morning to add Euro US to your charts and keep an eye on it. And you not every day. Some days it doesn't work at all. Other days it works extremely well. So that's my morning chart. That was the first question I was asked, and then there was another question. So I need to go back to. Actually, no, I'll stick with the morning chart because the one of the questions was about a trade that I posted yesterday. No, not a trade that I posted. A trade that someone posted, someone got into, and it didn't win. He lost the trade. So how am I going to do this? I can go back to trading view, I think. But if I just close this screen and go back to trading view, probably easier to look at it there. So share and bear with me. Right, I'm on trading view now, so I just need to share that. So yeah, I can see that you can now see that. So this was yesterday, and yesterday morning there was a weird this candle here. I'm on the 15-minute candle. So Euro AUD suddenly went up on that 15-minute candle. I'll drop it down to 5. We'll see what happened. Need to refresh. Lost my place now. I need to go back to help if I got the right pair. So this is what I'm looking at. So at that point there, so that was around about 8 o'clock. Actually, I'm on the 30-minute for some strange reason. I'll go back to the 15. That was it there. I'll drop down to the 5, see if it gives us any more information. That's today, this is yesterday. So you can see there was a pronounced actually it was 8:20, Wednesday, 8:20. So anyway, at that time, price went up and then it suddenly went into consolidation. And the reason that I wasn't in that trade, because my trading assistant had the news filter on, and there was some news at that point. Actually, it was just after that point. There was this big price rise prior to the news. So whether that was somebody leaking the news and it impacting the euro against the Aussie dollar, or what, I don't know. But that is why I try to avoid being in a trade when news is imminent, because what happened was it went into consolidation, and at one point there was some great big wicks. I haven't got a very good scale on that. You can see what the point I'm trying to make here is, can you see these long wicks and tiny bodies? There was 1, 2, 3, 4, and it looked as if at that point it looked as if price was going up, and I think that was when the trading assistant, this person's trading assistant, got him into the and for a buy, and then it immediately went back down again. And really, that's because price was, maybe they were on a stop hunt, and maybe because price was going up, they were trying to tempt people in to get in for a buy and then take out the stop losses down here. And maybe they were trying to tempt people in for a sell and take people's stop losses up there. But either way, that would have been avoided if the new setting had been. I know it's great to, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but trading forex is all about stacking probabilities. You can never be sure what's going to go on, and really, I'm taking the view with the new settings that I've got. I'm taking the view that safety is paramount, and I wouldn't want to be in a trade when there's some news. So I'm going to go back and see if I can see that better on my trading assistant. So I go back to um, 'cause, 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 ' Now back on euro Aussie dollar for today, and if I to go back to yesterday, I'm on the 3 minutes, so it'll be a while, but that was this morning set up. Not trying to be smart here, but I actually had my 5 minutes. I had my news setting set on moderates for 5 minutes before and 5 minutes after, so I avoided that. Is that it there? That looks very much like it. So this is that's 18 minutes past 8 UK time. Steep increase in price, and then straight into consolidation with long wicks down, long wicks up, and that really looks to me like a bit of a stop hunt. The trading assistant, if it got you in, it immediately went into consolidation, and one of those wicks would have taken you out. That one there, I think the entry point was 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it was on that candle, but it went in for the buy and immediately came out when it wicked down there. So I would have had, well, I did, because I kept a screenshot of it. I had the orange line going down here, indicating that my news was operative. So I'll go back to this afternoon. Turn on algo trading. Now we're now at, well, just after the quarter past mark. So what I normally do is I just take a quick look at all 4 of the pairs and just try and get an idea of what's going on. So this is my 1 o'clock line, and that's my 1:15 line. There's quite a lot of low-level news, moderate news going on this afternoon. The one at, if I hover over it, it's hidden by that line. But this one is Canadian dollar. So the Canadian dollar may be affected, and the US dollar may be affected to a lesser extent. That's the Bank of Mexico, so that's probably not going to affect the charts this afternoon. What I was trying to do was to turn off the news setting on this one because it was I think it was a speech, and that doesn't generally affect price that much. But anyway, let's have a look. We are in, we're just above the green trend line, so we're looking for a buy signal. However, the wave is downward red. There might be, no, that's an upward candle. That's a red wave block all the way down. So we're in a red wave block, so we can't get in for a buy. I'm noticing that price is sort of not sticking for the green trend line accurately, but it is kind of following it. And if I was going to get in for a buy, I would want the wave blocks to be a change of wave from downward red to upward green, and I would want the MA 13 moving average to cross over the 200 moving average, and then I would come down here and double check what's going on, and what's actually going on is not a lot. It's the volume is actually below the dead zone line, so there's nothing happening there, and I suspect it'll be pretty much the same for the rest of the afternoon because, as I said, it's Thanksgiving in America, and you've got a big percentage of the players in the market just not operative. What I'm seeing here, though, is that there was a rise in price at this point. Therefore, there is some there will be some imbalance to be taken out further down. So there is a chance that price will come down. But I would want, if I was going in for a sell, I would want price to be below the red trend line. And then, depending on when that happened, I would look back and see how well, my trading assistant would look back and see how long ago the MA crossover was. But what I'm finding, just going to check, see who's on. Okay, so it was still just a forward, but just in case you missed it, what I was telling Gary when we first started was, since I've implemented these new settings, I've taken, as I expected, I've taken less trades. I've only taken 1, 2, 3, 4. I've taken 5 trades so far this week, but I've won 4 of them. So I'm quite happy with that. I don't look for massive profits. Overall, I'm 3% up on the week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning, I'm 3% up. That is perfectly acceptable for my style of trading. So I'm just going to go. I'm going to go through those settings. No, I'll go through the other 3 pairs first. See if there's any major differences. That one's still in no man's land. It's literally moving sideways. A little bit of a dip there, down to the 200, and then it bounced off. But it hasn't gone far enough. It needs to go above the green trend line for a buy, or below the red trend line for a sell. The volume's not in the market. The explosion line is still in the dead zone, so there's nothing going to happen. And that's US dollar. Canadian dollar, there's maybe a bit more action because there is some news. I'll just move that out of the way. Have a look. Okay, so this is Canadian dollar news at 1:30 UK time. So we've got price above the green trend line. We're looking for a buy, but we've got a red wave. So we need the red wave to change to green and start to move upwards. We need the 13 moving average to cross over the 200 moving average. And then we'll come down and look at the water atta, which is currently telling me to keep out. And the last pair, before I go to my settings, is right. Okay, so we've got it looks like the moving average, which crossed over at that point, and then it's decided to come back. So the 13 has gone above the 200, but is now returning to the 200. It could break through, or it could bounce. Who knows? We've got news coming in very shortly. 2 minutes time. My trading assistant is programmed to keep me out of a trade from 5 minutes before that news. But it looks as if the moving averages are going to cross over. We have nothing going on the water atta. There was a big push up there at that would be what, about 10:30 this morning. Mind you, there was a big push down, so that may have been to take out that imbalance. Who knows? Price is just before the news. Price has taken a big dip down. That could be to tempt people in for a sell, and then they plan to take all the stop losses from up here. Let's just wait. Well, no, the news is at 1:30, so we'll move on. So if I show my expert list. So all of my pairs I'm currently running on a 5 pip stop loss and a 10 pip take profit. That's on all the morning pairs and all the afternoon pairs. So all 9 charts are on the 5, 5 and 10. I'm still looking for 1 to 2, and I'm still looking to risk a half of 1% per pair. So I'm risking, I'm potentially trading 4 pairs. So total risk I'm taking is 2. And the total profit I could make out of that is 4%, but I've got this setting down here on 6, just to allow sometimes price overshoots. So by the time the broker can take you out of the trade, it's overshot, and you've actually made a bit more profit than expected. And if I kept that at 4, that would take me out anyway. So I don't want to do that. So that's showing that this morning I lost 0.54%. So that's about right. I had a loss this morning, but I only lost 0.5%. I just need to double check that out. In an ideal world, I would want this morning's loss to be discounted on my afternoon session, but we'll look at that. I would want my afternoon session to be a total risk of 2%. But it looks as if the trading assistant has counted my morning's loss in with this. So I need to look. I don't think I've got them on the same magic number. I'll go back and look. I've got 13579. I'll go back to this morning's pairs. If I look at, so the expert list. Right, okay. So there's an issue I didn't realize I had. I've got the morning pairs on 13579, and I've also got the afternoon pairs on 13579, or at least that pair. So I need to change one of them. So I've got the PM, and I know. If I go to my settings, I need a different magic number. So I'm on GBP. I'm going to check all 4 of them. Yeah, I've got for some reason, I've got the same magic number. So I'm going to change that. 2, 4, 6, 8. I won't save that because I'll go back later and do that one. But can you see how the profit is now 0? It was not. So it was counting this morning's loss in with the basket for these pairs. So I need to change all of them. Change it to Canadian dollar pairs. I need to change it to US dollar pairs. I will need to save this separate settings and give it a new name. Okay, so that's solved that mystery, I think. If we look at this pair, yeah, so it's got my percentage profit back to 0. It was minus 0.5. I would prefer the morning session to be quite separate from the afternoon session. Okay, so we're still in the news. We're still, when this populates, it'll say no trading because of news. There we go, no trading news. So I'm going to go back to my settings and just talk through those. Okay, so I need to go back and save that as a different set list, but I'll just leave it for now. So I'm risking 0.5% per pair. Total risk this afternoon being 2%. Risk to reward 2, stop loss is 5, take profit is 10. I don't use a random number because I'm well, creating my own. So this is my PM Crossfire set. I'm going to change it. I'll give it a different title and a different name later. Show pips of open trades, send alerts, spread filter. So all of my pairs have a spread filter protection of 2. You can see that on this pair, it's getting very close to my limit. If that gets to 2 or above, it will not take any trades. Expert protection. So I've now done this correctly, and I've got the basket of pairs is these 4 pairs, and I'm risking 2%, and I'm potentially gaining 4, but it might go up to a little bit more than that. And I've got my global basket as true. Partial settings I don't use. The new settings, I'm sticking to this for the rest of this week. I've got true, 5 minutes before, 5 minutes after, and moderate. And as I say, that seems to be working for me. 900 is correct. 180 is correct. 1300 is correct. F3G, remember to change these to 0, otherwise you'll still get something on your chart from the F3G. HMA, trading Crossfire doesn't recognize the HMA anyway. Now the MA crossover doesn't seem to matter whether you've got these on all on true or all on true, or whether you have it true, false, true. The important thing is you've got the first one and the third one need to be on true, so that it does recognize or it waits for the MA crossover, and that is the biggest reason why I've only taken 5 trades so far this week, because not every trade is matches this criteria. So only taken 5, but I have 1 4. Line speed is 13, so it looks like 12 candles. The line speed 13 moving average, and then these others are both 200. And then you can go right down to the bottom, and I've got these 2 lots of data on true. So that's it. Anybody have any questions on my settings? Let's have a quick look. So just the 4 of those. Okay. So
Richard, sorry, I was trying to unmute there for a second.
No.
Before you move on, so the way you've got your settings now, you're risking 2% on your morning pairs of your account balance,
yeah,
and 2% on your afternoon pairs.
yes.
Right. So
Sorry.
Yeah. So if your morning pairs lost you 2%, that'd be 2% of your account balance. Yeah.
As I understand it, I could then go back in the afternoon and risk 2% of the new balance.
Okay. Right. Yeah. I just want to clarify that. Yeah. Okay.
And of course, on the other side of the coin, if I made 4%, well, if I made 1% in the morning session, I probably wouldn't trade in the afternoon. In real life, the only reason I'm trading both sessions at the minute is because I'm doing these live sessions. But if I made 1% in in one trade on the morning session, personally, I would walk away.
Yeah, that's my aim, is to do 1% a day. You must be happy with that over a week.
Yeah. But yeah, I do these live sessions, and I need to be able to demonstrate what I'm doing. So, I mean, what happened this morning was I lost 0.5%. So in that scenario, I would look for a trade in the afternoon session, because if I won a trade this afternoon, I'd be back up to plus 0.5%. But you know, everybody's got different criteria, and if I was in a situation where I wasn't doing the live sessions, I was just trading on my own account, I would certainly stop at 1%. And if I could get consistent at making,
you judge it trade by trade. You're judging it trade by trade. Then if you're up 1%, that's you done. If you're down 0.5%, you try and get at least that back plus the 0.5%, and that's you done again. Then. In real trading terms, I mean.
Yeah, that's my attitude anyway. And
I understand.
I don't need to make, well, the point is that if you get, the more trades you do, the more risk you're taking. And you could end up taking a second trade and losing that one, and then you start chasing, and you get into the mindset of revenge trading, and you end up losing money. I'm reasonably happy with my performance this week with the new settings. That I've only lost one trade. I've only taken 5 trades, but I've only lost one of them. So I'm
rate so far this week. I mean, that's good in anyone's book, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, when I say I'm aiming for 1% a day, I realise I'm not going to make 1% a day consistently 5 days a week, but you know, I don't mind the odd loss.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's just have a look. We're now back. We've got through the news, so we'll have another look at the pairs and see what's going on. Euro US is above the green trend line, so I'm looking for a buy, but everything else is telling me sell. So you've got the red wave, downward wave, you've got the 13 moving down below the 200, so that normally indicates a sell, and you've got the water atta, which is red, but it's not strong enough for a sell either. So what I'm waiting for is either for price to get below the red trend line, and I'm then definitely looking for a sell. I would look back at the wave. I would look for a recent wave change, and there hasn't been a recent wave change. That wave change occurred 12:36, so that's too far back for me. That's an hour ago. So this is not setting up well at all. The water atta is definitely going to keep me out because 2 reasons. The explosion line is pointing downwards. I need it to be pointing upwards away from the dead zone line. And I also need the histogram bars to be above the dead zone line. Let me just, you can see I've got 2 water attas on, and it irritates me. I've actually got 3 water attas on. Just the way I think that's got to be put right. So that's now a white line. And whilst I'm here, I'm going to get rid of these 2 smooth, because all I want on my indicator chart is 1 smooth Heikin-Ashi, which is the green bars and the red bars. I only need 2 moving averages, but I keep the 3rd one because I might at some point want to go back to having 3 moving averages. When I traded manually, I used to have a 13, a 62, and a 200. Just in case I want to go back, I'm leaving it. But actually, on my chart, I've got a 13, which is the yellow line, and I've got 2 white lines, which are 200. So you can only see the 1 200. So that's how my indicators should, well, how I like my indicators set up. But basically, what I'm looking for here is either I need price to get below the red trend line to start thinking about a sell, and then I'll consider everything else. Or I want it to, we're already above the green trend line, so if I'm looking for a buy, I want the green wave, change of wave from red to green, but I need now, I'm going to wait for the 13 moving average, the yellow line, to cross over the 200 moving average. And as I say, that's now programmed into my trading system, and I'm going to leave my trading. I'm not going to, in the past, I've been tempted to override that, and I could have got in as soon as price start to move up without waiting for the crossover to happen. But I'm getting more success by waiting for the crossover to happen. But you know, I think I'm right in saying it's Thanksgiving today in the States, and that's why there's nothing much happening. That was 1:30, and there's almost no movement whatsoever. So that's probably a sign of what kind of day it's going to be today. This news here is Bank of Mexico, which generally doesn't affect the bigger situation. But Euro US is not really likely to give us a move unless this moving average crosses over the 200 moving average, and we've got a wave change, then I might be interested in looking at it further. But this is quite definite telling me to keep out. That hasn't even got out of no man's land. That is literally moving sideways. There's a little bit of a push up, and it's just come down a bit, and then it's virtually never moved. Yeah, there was something else I was going to show you. I'll wait until I've been through these. If you are, okay, we'll go through this one. Right, so it's come down below the red trend line, and then it's gone back up again, but it's not in no man's land. So we're now in a buy situation, but we've got somewhere to go before the crossover, moving average crossover is likely to occur. The water atter's looking better than the previous two. I still wouldn't get in that with the water atter like it is, but there's a bit more movement there, and that's because we're on Canadian dollar instead of US dollar. I'm going to have to get rid of those water atters. I understand Oliver's on this. Just a bit of an irritation. So there I've got my HA smooth, my 3MAs, and my water atter. That's how I like it. And if I go back to the fourth one, yeah, we've been sort of hovering around a range there, and there's imbalance there, but there was imbalance there, so maybe they've just cancelled each other out. We're sticking very much to the 200 moving average, aren't we? It's been through it there, come back again. Now, if it moves upwards and gets above the green trend line, and we've got a green wave developing from that point there, the only thing we need is the MA crossover, which is not a million miles away, and then we need to come down and look at this. So the two Canadian dollars are looking favourite at the minute, but I wouldn't get too excited because the American market's not open. So I'm probably going to call it a day, but just end by saying, apart from any other questions, I'm away next week, and I've committed to doing 2 live sessions a week, but they may not. Sorry, I've committed to doing 2 sessions a week, but I may not always be able to do a live session, partly because of the time difference, and partly because the fairly patchy internet connection where I'm going to be. So what I'm hoping for is that even if I can't do a live session, I'll do a recorded session, and hopefully the recorded session will be based on any questions that I get sent. And if you could send your questions through via Facebook Messenger, and then I'll base the session on answering those questions. And I'll post every Tuesday and every Thursday. I'll post whether it's going to be a live or whether it has to be a recording. I just can't guarantee. I've been in that situation before. You can have a great internet connection 1 minute, and the next minute it dies. So I'm going to probably one session a week will be live, and one session a week will be recorded question and answer. So does anybody have any questions before I call it a day?
Thanks, Richard. Are you there next week, or are you there for a couple of weeks?
Sorry, say again?
Are you there for 2 weeks, or just for one? Just the one?
I'm there for 3 months.
3 months. All
Yeah.
right.
I
Very nice.
spend my winters in Thailand. I'm not very good in the cold weather. I mean, it's not the only reason. I've got family over there, and one thing and another. And yeah, so I'm going December, January, February. Save on heating bills in the UK.
I'll certainly do that.
Well, it's great. It's just that in the last couple of years, my lives have been very patchy, and I had a chat with Paul, and I agreed that I needed to be more consistent, and where I can't do a live, I'll definitely do a recorded. So I'm sort of relying on you people to send me any questions. Doesn't matter if they're long-winded questions, you can type them in, and I'll get you the answer, and I'll base the recording sessions on that.
Are you open with the Crossfire EA then? How close do you think you are to getting where you need it to be?
Well, I would like to think that with the new settings, with this MA crossover and the moderate news and the 5 pips instead of 3 pips on some of the pairs, I think we're just about getting there. It remains to be seen. I think today is going to be a bit flat, so maybe tomorrow, if I get a winning trade tomorrow and avoid a losing trade, I'll be delighted with that as a result for the week. I mean, we never.
When do you think they can? When do you think they? You know, because I'm new to this, as you know, with the market over Christmas and New Year. When do you think it to be? When do you really keep out of it? Don't bother with it.
Well, I trade throughout, apart from the bank holidays, and now that we've got a trading assistant, you can set the trading assistant to trade if the circumstances are right, and not to trade if the circumstances are wrong. And that's a great benefit of this trading assistant. It gives you some discipline, and so long as you're kind of brave enough to trust the trading assistant, you just let it either take the trade or stay out of the trade. And if it stays out, you can be confident that it's keeping you out for a reason. And my first rule is don't lose money. So if you keep me out of a trade that I would have lost, I'm delighted. The second rule is I want to make money, but first of all, I want to avoid losing money, and the trading assistant's a great way to do that. So I don't think we'll ever be in a perfect situation, and the markets will change. So we need to keep monitoring and changing or adapting. But I think we're well on the way with Crossfire to, well, touch wood, this week will either prove me right or prove me wrong. We've got some movement, actually. I'm just going to have a look at these. Just going to look at these pairs a bit closer. So we've got some downward movement. we're still above the green trend line, but very shortly we could be below. However, the moving average will keep me out because it crossed over way back there. This is a scenario where I might previously been tempted to get in because the water atta is starting to shape up. Another bar in that situation would tell me to get in. But I believe my moving average filter will keep me out of that one. And there was another one moving as well. So that was moving. This is moving. There's a big move on that one. Not quite below the trend line, but by coincidence, the trend line and the 200 are pretty close together. So if it breaks through, we just wait for a moving average crossover, and that is quite a good scenario to be in. Except for this is just saying there's not enough volume in the market. But you can wait until that gets below the red trend line and then come back and reanalyze. This one's moving down. So there's something happening to move prices down. It's still clinging to the red trend line, but it breaks through. Well, no, the moving average is too far in the past for me. The MA crossover was again too far back. So if this one breaks past the red trend line, come back and reanalyze. This one is bounced off the green trend line. So I go back to what I said. I think it's going to be a fairly flat this afternoon. I don't think there's going to be many big moves. Anyway, I'll keep an eye on it, or my assistant will keep an eye on it, and we'll let you know. So thanks for jumping on. Have a good weekend. I won't be on Tuesday, that's for sure, because I'll be traveling. I won't have arrived at my destination next Tuesday lunchtime. So nothing on Tuesday, but hope to be back next Thursday. So
thank you, Richard.
thanks very much.
Thanks, Richard.
Cheers, Richard. Safe journey.
Yeah, safe travels.
Will do. Cheers now.
Bye.
Bye.